Welcome to the Aquarian Shaman Broadcast. I'm Star Wolf, your shamanic host, and I'm here to teach you how to transform yourself and transform the world. Twice a month, we'll be exploring how to develop shamanic psycho-spiritual practices to support transformation while expanding your energy field in a way that can also support others. Each episode offers dynamic experiential guidance and teachings on how to safely enter a natural altered state of consciousness using the sacred breath. Additionally, we will discuss the importance of integration and grounding this medicine into your everyday life. Stay tuned. We're about to create authentic, embodied change that will surely grow corn for the future generations. Welcome, everybody. So I'm burning just a little bit of sage here, not too much, so I don't set off the alarm system and all of a sudden be pouring water on the ceiling. But I do love to smudge, and that actually happened to a friend of mine in a conference one time where he was there and he was smudging and had the smoke going, and the whole thing all of a sudden started pouring from the ceiling, which was quite a shock for the whole audience. So a little careful about those things these days. So I have here some sage, but not only some sage, but I have some blue lotus flower from Egypt, which is very, very sacred, as well as the sage. And just having returned from Egypt, I'm still very vibing to those energies. So I have standing here on my desk, I have Mr. Fata, who is the symbol actually for Aquarian shamanism. And he can sometimes be too much in his head. I think that he has that blue hat cap to keep his brain together there and bring him to earth. But one of the ways he was able to stay connected to the earth is he was married to Sekhmet, the great Egyptian lioness. And she certainly gave him a run for his money. But the two of them supposedly reigned on this earth for over 2,000 years. And they did that in Memphis, and not Memphis, Tennessee, but Memphis, Egypt. And they were eternal beings in the time before time. And theirs was a beautiful love affair because she was all heart and passion. And he'd have to cool her down a little bit sometimes with his Aquarian energy. So she was Sagittarius. He was Aquarius. And he had to come out of his head and down to his passion, which he did for the love of Sekhmet. So I love to speak about the Egyptian deities and call them into this energy because before they were called Egyptian or anything else, they were the people or the immortals of before the first time. It's called Zeb Tempi, and the infinite time. So calling in all the directions, reactivating them at this time, east, south, west, north, above and below and within. Wherever you are, we invite you to go into your own within and open your own shamanic heart. Everybody belongs to this earth as well as the sky and the gods and goddesses and great mystery. So call in the sacredness of yourself, your own water, earth, fire, air, and spirit. And connect to the truth that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. But while we're here, may we also not only have a human experience, but a humane experience where we undergo our own shamanic initiations as everyday shamans in our everyday lives. And that someday, if not now, but hopefully soon, we will all remember our shamanic connection to great mystery, to the great spirit above and below, to this beautiful earth, this earth mama, the green man, Gaia, the waters, as well as the cosmos, and that we're children of the universe, the multiverse, in all directions, above, below, and within. Oh. Well, I'm very excited today to have Marisa on, and it was kind of a last minute thing that we decided to do together, but I'm so excited, and I'm pulling up just a fraction. I'm going to read this, but this is just really a small bio to what it could be, because this beautiful woman has been on her path for a very long time, even though she's still looks radiant and beautiful and is very young in many ways. In many ways, she's definitely an old soul. And I can relate to that, Marisa. And, in my own path of 43 years of sobriety, I started really young, started working in the mental health center at 20 years old. So I understand being that young person in a world of people being older and having to many times prove myself. And you have certainly done that, at least in my eyes. So I want to read you just a fraction about her. And there's so much more, and I hope you will look her up and find out what she's doing. Marisa Fata is the founder of Soul Alchemy. What a great name. Soul Alchemy Healing, a sacred container devoted to helping people return home to themselves through deep inner work and embodied spiritual practice. That's really important that you all hear that. Okay? Deep inner work and embodied spiritual practice, not spiritual bypass. A well-loved insight timer meditation teacher and a shamanic breathwork facilitator, Marisa's work is shaped by the Toltec path, the teachings of Don Jose Ruiz and Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., Linda Starwolf, moi, lineage of shamanic breathwork, and I might also add ship, and her own 18 years of personal recovery and discovery. So if you're looking for lineage, okay, pay attention, people. This is not just a sudden wonder in the world. This is hard work, and it's worth it. Through visioning, meditation, intuitive healing, mystery schools, apprenticeships, and her Healing Our Relations podcast. I want to say that again. Her podcast is called Healing Our Relationships. She is devoted to helping others reclaim trust in themselves and the sacred path they are here to walk. Now, that's just a short bio that we have here. But one of the most important things there, the most important things, is she's walked this path for a long time. She knows what she's talking about and still learning and growing. And the other is that she has a passion about what she's doing. This is not just an influencer. This, although she's influential, this is a woman who is dedicated to her path and sharing that with others who are called to join her. So with that, welcome, Marisa.
Thank you.
So glad you're here. Tell us where you are right now. What room are you in? Tell us a little bit about where you are.
I'm in Portland, Oregon, in my home. And in this little nook of the house, we have all these different levels that are really random. And it's why I love the house so much, because every level has a bunch of windows so you can see the trees. And as soon as I walked in, we've only been here about 2 years. As soon as I walked in, I could see trees everywhere. And I was like, I feel like I'm in a forest. I don't care about all these other things I wanted in a house. I want to be with nature. And so it's amazing and beautiful. And there's like 1,000 crows that live right above me. And they're always holding council above my driveway. So it was a perfect place. It was the perfect place for me. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're my kind of woman, that you make a choice about your house because of crows and trees.
Yeah.
I'm looking out too at a mountain range. It's a 360 around me with millions of trees and all kinds of creatures, and many of them that I feed each day, rabbits and squirrels and all kinds of birds that are still around. And that really is kind of a hallmark for the women like us, that we're connected to nature. We're not only connected to the spiritual, but spirit is in nature, of course, But there's an upper nature and a lower nature, and to see the world as not a place of sin or an outcast place or a place of suffering, which it certainly is at times, but as this magnificent shamanic planet that gives us the opportunity to go through birth and life and death and rebirth and to grow just as the seasons and as nature around us because we're part of nature. So, if you would tell us a little bit about your journey, how you kind of stepped onto your journey, or maybe you got kicked and screaming and on the way there. But tell us a little
Always.
bit about your journey, how you've from here you where you are now. Let's go back on the spiral path a bit about your beginnings, some of your teachers, and you just take it away and talk for a little bit, and then I will come back and if there's something that I'm really feeling, to ask you. But I'd love to hear and share. I know some of the story, but to hear more and more, and for you to share with our audience here today.
Yes, I'd love to. Thank you. Well, it's funny you were sharing that about being connected to nature, and I was raised on the beach, like on the sand. My father built this tiny little house, and I was raised in the ocean, and I never really knew that was nature. It wasn't something that I just existed inside of it. And I'm a Pisces, and I love being in the water, and so I always felt really at home there. But for so many years of my life, I was not connected to, I didn't see a tree and think of it as sacred, or, decide not to buy a real tree this year because it was like paining me, the whole cutting them down and then getting a plastic tree, and my partner being like, that's not good for the environment, but I have to have a tree because I love Christmas. But it's just little things like that that I never was connected to before. So it wasn't like it's an innate part of me within, but I lived in my head so much from such a young age that quickly kind of disappeared, that connection. And I think I was looking at the calendar because January 7th is my 18-year sobriety birthday. And I'm going to be 42. So you've been sober about as long as I've been alive,
Woohoo!
which is amazing, in March. And I was just thinking this time 18 years ago, I would have been in my 60 days in rehab. It was an
Mm.
90-day program. And when I went to rehab, I really just thought I was taking a break. I was so young. Our stories are very parallel in many ways, and that's one of them. I was 23 years old. I was so young. But I had suffered just within for so long. I love shamanic breathwork so much because it's brought forth so many things into my understanding about why I never understood why I suffered for so long until maybe my facilitator training. Like there was this part of me that didn't really understand why I suffered with this feeling of loneliness and differentness and anxiety and fear and codependency, which I didn't have a word for it back then, but
Mm.
I felt so unsafe. And it wasn't until a really powerful shamanic breathwork journey that I realized that my biggest trauma was being ripped away from a God and a higher power that I was deeply connected to and deeply loved. My family was, my mom was raised in a kind of a cult church, and she kind of stepped away from that, and she was a Christian. And when she told me about God and Jesus, I was very young. And as soon as she told me about God and Jesus, that clicked so hard that made so much sense. Like that unconditional love, spirit, like all that stuff made so much. I especially loved it was when she told me about God or spirit, God, Holy Ghost, or whatever. So the spirit part, I was like really into. And I was very, sheltered and living in this tiny little house, and just my mom and my dad, and I ended up having a couple of brothers. But I had this very powerful relationship to God when I was very young. And I would go on these visioning journeys. At the time, wasn't clocking what I was doing until many years later, but I would see them. We'd go walk the streets of gold, and I'd ask Jesus questions, and we'd be talking about things. And I'd be like, I really want to make sure I remember my family, and like asking questions. And and God loved me and Jesus loved me. And I was here to be of like sacred service to the world and to share God's love, like my mom. Like it was just, when you're raised in that and that's all you know, it's amazing. Like I get chills. It's like, what a beautiful world to live in. And there was nothing negative inside that world. It was just love. And my mom's always been like so much love, and it just made sense to me. And then when I graduated from her lap in the pew at church, and my knowledge started to get a little bit more, and I started having understanding of who I was or who I was supposed to be, as soon as I got put into this youth group room. And when I share this story, I always share, like, this is my experience. I have no, this is not everyone's experience in the church or a religion. So this is just mine that I share. But I went into a youth group room and was like the very first time like told about hell,
Mm.
being a sinner and being unworthy. And I was the unworthy daughter of Eve, and she had like given Adam the apple. And this might sound silly to somebody who wasn't raised in this, but this is what the power of domestication and the power of belief and agreement is, that that was my reality, and it was very real. So as much as I believed in the God I was connecting to, I also believed the people that were now telling me that I was unworthy and I was a sinner. And I think it was from that day forward, I really feel like my vision stopped. I think I stopped journeying, and I became very afraid, and I felt this ripping away. I didn't know this at the time. This is through shamanic breathwork
Right.
and awareness and stuff. But now I can look back. There was a true ripping away of God's love. Like it was a true ripping, and then feeling unworthy and scared to connect how I wanted to connect, which is not what other people were doing. Reading the Bible, like all those things, I couldn't grasp that same feeling that when I went in and I journeyed, I couldn't grasp that feeling. And so that really led me to feeling very alone. I always felt uncomfortable being who I was, and I wanted to be loved so bad, a reflective back, as I was trying to fill this God love that I felt, this unconditional love, with everybody and everything else. And the thing that always felt that my mom could never understand was I never was part of, and I was bullied so bad. So I was constantly striving for people to like me and love me, change
The
myself.
codependency comes in.
Oh, absolutely. It was just this like need. And then if somebody didn't like me, it felt like I was, it was almost like, I call it the sword of shame, because in shamanic breath work, I was able to like realize my shame was like the sword that Sekhmet, by the way, pulled out of me and said, not enough. This is why shamanic breath work is so amazing. So, but yeah, like I would felt like I was stabbing myself every time I did something wrong or was in trouble. And so essentially that feeling was miserable. Right. And then when someone gave me a drink when I was like 14, and then guess what happened?
Eureka!
Where'd that feeling go? I suddenly like don't have a problem talking. I'm suddenly like all the
Normal.
authenticity of who I was that I've been shoving down started coming out. And I liked that. I liked that feeling of feeling empowered and feeling my other feelings, like feeling like angry or feeling my body. And I was really in that domesticated thought process of Christianity, up into like 18 years old. So I was very sheltered and afraid to live my life. My body was not mine. My body was meant for a man. And I had no connection really to myself. And because this, in the Toltec, we call it the metote, it's a cacophony of voices. This was a cacophony of voices all the time.
Because I want you to have some time to talk a little bit about your Toltec. This goes a lot quicker than what you think. To talk from there. I
Yeah.
think, first of all, I want to say I can relate to much of that. That's when I started around 12 or 13. I was saved and baptized at 12 or 11 or something, and then started drinking when I was 13. And so no wonder our paths and our energies are so close in that way, and our recoveries and that sort of thing. And of course, the codependency is underneath all of it. I didn't find
Yeah.
that out until I was, actually quite a bit older because it wasn't even a word.
Yeah.
So, and so when I found out what codependency, I went, oh, codependency is the like mama, daddy of all addictions, and it holds all the rest. The rest are more like, even if they kill you, they're still more fringe because the codependency is like, when I die, my life won't pass before my eyes. Everybody else's will,
Yeah.
because I've been people pleasing or trying to, or the opposite, rebelling and saying, "Up your nose with a rubber hose. I don't care,
Mhm.
but I really do."
Yeah.
So I want to bring you. You spoke a little bit about the Ruiz, your connection there. I'd love
Yeah.
for you just if you would maybe um, spring forward
Yes.
and from where you kind of are right at this moment and kind of close that and jump into what happened with you with the Ruizes and how has that affected you and how that led you to breath work and everything else. Let's
Yeah.
bring that in.
No, yes, I thank you. And I will jump ahead. That piece, that piece ended up being, yes. So I drank and used drugs and codependency to feel better. And then when I got sober, I thought, okay, I'm just going to take a break. But what happened inside of my sobriety is that I started doing inner work. I was actually doing the step work. I was doing the things I was asked of me, and I was learning to be with myself. And so I was with myself sober a day at a time, learning to be with myself, and things were getting better. Things were getting better. But the thing that still hadn't changed at 7 years of sobriety was the cacophony of voices. The thing that
Mm,
still hadn't changed was this deep fear of what other people thought of me, fear of being in my authenticity, and this voice of self hate that was beyond, that I didn't understand. Why do I hate myself so much? Why do I feel this horrible? And I had this moment in my sobriety where, we rely on a higher power, and I couldn't rely on the one of my own understand. That's why that part of the story is pertinent, because I couldn't rely on the higher power of my understanding that was old. And I went and sought every single spiritual path outside of me, and none of them was aligning. And I hit like a bottom, and I was just like on my knees crying, saying, I need help. Like, I didn't get sober for this. I'm not going to sit here with these voices hating myself sober. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, the sponsorship, all of it. And that night, I just kind of got this like, go through your box of books and see what old books you have. And in there was The Four Agreements by Don Miguel. And I found that book. I read it in like one night. I didn't put it down. And it felt like the sky cracked open in this deep remembering, this deep understanding that the voices in my head were not mine. The voices in my head were learned. They were beliefs and they were agreements, and they were that my truest nature was that little girl running on the beach, talking to spirit and seeing visions and seeing things. That is my truest nature. And I don't need to learn or follow anybody else's path. I need to start going within myself again and discovering my own natural connection to spirit and unlearn everything that I learned. And let me tell you, that was a doozy to do. But
it takes a while.
that was,
Ongoing.
yeah, ongoing. I mean, I'm still always unlearning. So that book changed my life. And then I started going to every book signing, and then I started going on the retreats, and then I just, I'm just so authentically into it and present and like there for it. So it was probably a natural thing for Mikey and Jose and for all of me to become close with them and to be learning and asking questions. And I'd be emailing them, and I was just dedicated to this study. And then I apprenticed with Jose, and it moved me from head to heart, which I could do like an
Mm,
hour episode on. And then shamanic breath work brought me from heart to body. And that was that missing piece when I
mm.
disconnected as a child from my body, and for other reasons, right? Because we all have different traumas, but I disconnected from my body. And then that's where the shamanic breath work brought me into the body for that other level of transformation that's needed when our energy body is unlearning its trauma. And so that's the Cliff Notes version of
Yeah,
how I found
I know
everybody.
we could do a I know we could talk 3 hours and we'd be completely entertained and learning so much from you. But it's so true. that there's different teachers, places, and things that show up exactly when they're supposed to when we finally surrender.
Mhm.
And surrender is a moment by moment, at one day at a time. But when we're on the path of surrendering to our highest good,
Yeah.
and we're just saying, okay, like Creator, I don't know. I like to think I know because I get afraid when I think I don't know and I'm not in control. But me being in control has gotten me to this place of feeling absolutely unhappy, unworthy, these things. It's not because I'm bad, I just don't know. And when we can come to that place, then that's all that I think that Great Spirit's waiting for. It's like before then the door is closed because we're saying we're protected. But when we just say, I have nothing to lose here except all the old stuff, when we come to that place and there's that humility, we've usually already had enough humiliation. And then it's time for a humility, which is very different. Humiliation is still kind of sticking your tongue in the place where it hurts. Humiliation. But humility is saying, I don't know, you know, I'm going to do my best to, as they say in 12 steps, let go and let God, and substitute that for whatever you need to. Goddess, Elvis, whatever. I surrender to whatever is
Mhm.
bigger and smarter and cuter than me. I surrender to that. And I feel that you really express the embodiment of that. And I feel that way about myself because I've dedicated over and over my life one day at a time, not my will, thy will. And it's amazing how much God and I think alike these days.
Thank
one
God.
of one of us is smart. I'm,
I've been
but
thinking that lately too.
like God's pretty smart. She's got it together because I find like, oh, so before I thought, oh, if I turn my life and will over, I'm going to have to do this and do that, and maybe it won't. And then all of a sudden, I realize that whatever the Great Spirit is, truly wants what's going to make me truly happy
Yeah.
and at peace. So with that, it does mean ongoing. You brought in the wisdom with the four agreements, and I'm sure you did many other things. And then along the way, you found shamanic breath work. Can you say a little bit about, for your just a short thing about ship and shamanic
Mm.
breath work and how that has taken you on your path, spiral path to the next place that you
Yeah.
are, and how you're perhaps bringing, well, and then after that, well, I'd like to hear how you're bringing all this into your own
Yeah.
creation.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, recovery taught me to be present and to seek. And I'm just a seeker. I've always been that way. And when I find something, I want to share it. It's just like a part of who I am. And in my seeking, I met you long before I said yes to doing something with you. And then I did, I breathed with you for the first time and it changed my life. And then ship is something I'm incredibly passionate about. Ship is Star Wolf Venus Rising's 2-week intensive shamanic healing initiatory process. I think every single person in this world, if they had an opportunity to ship, then the world would be a better place. And
Mm.
why ship is so powerful to me is because we do the inner work. We're not being taught to do it later. We do it in a very safe container where we feel safe enough to go to the depths that we need to go to do the healing that we need to do. And it's scary to do healing. It's hard to even get to a place of awareness to realize that we need it, and then to do it, to really go into the shadows and the fires of transformation. That's hard. But when you are in a container that, you always say the light, the dark, no difference, and your containers we feel that way. People are safe to unravel. They're safe to project on. I've projected on you, and then you've taught me how to hold a projection. Like your containers are so incredibly, I mean, if anyone wants to facilitate anything in this world, please take ship and skills, even if you don't want to be a facilitator, because I just can't even get over how much, like, how powerful and impactful it is. And we do it together as a group, which is how healing, in my opinion, profound healing is done. And when I took ship, I walked in there and I'm still, why am I not doing my, like, I've been doing this work for a long time, but it was kind of like, when am I going to get there? When am I going to be like Star Wolf with my mountain and my thing? And, I felt so behind. I had always felt so behind. And, I stuck around and I did ship for 2 weeks. And guess what popped up? My codependency, that C word that I never wanted to listen to when I was, I've had the same sponsor for almost 18 years. She's brought up that and Al-Anon, and I didn't understand it, but I was in the fire in a codependent relationship at ship, having like a freaking meltdown, being upset that I was having a meltdown over my partner's communication or lack thereof. And, Marsha Blue Wolf was sitting there going, can you put your phone down? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, there's a sweat lodge going on. And I'm just like, but it was all part of my process. Like I was in a pressure cooker, right? Like that's what was happening. And so, yeah. So my codependency, man, that came out, and I came home and guess what? Got on my knees and prayed and asked for help. And
Yeah. Yeah.
my life changed after that. And now I do a lot of sharing about healing codependency and relationship. It's really relationship to self, healing our relationships. Like it's all going to point back to you. Sorry. Because that's what
I know. You can't tell people that up front or they won't come.
They won't come. I
was
would
like, no, oh, he's horrible. She's horrible. Yeah. Then you get them in and you say, now hold up the mirror.
Yeah.
Everybody that you're blaming is in that mirror.
Yeah. So, man, so
Not that they're not doing it. They might be jerks. I don't know. But that's not what's the problem for you. Them being a jerk is a problem for them.
Yeah. So I've had so many profound awarenesses, and I think we can have really a lot deeper healing when we're in safe places with safe people who are trauma informed and they are not playing shaman. And that's
right.
something that I feel, I will always say, like, I'm here to support you in being the most powerful healer in your life. And in the Ruiz family and you and any other teacher that I have chosen to study, learn, invest time in, energy has always turned their students back towards themselves. Jose, Mikey, they never said follow the shamanic path. They say do not use these 4 agreements as conditions. Like no one that I choose to learn from has ever taken away my power. They've empowered me. And I am very, like with humility, I say the one thing that I'm very grateful for and proud of myself is that I'm sticking to that lineage in my own healing work. And in a world that wants you to get on stage and put yourself on a pedestal so people can click likes and like you, it's a tricky place to be, because I want to be authentic, which means you're going to hear my holy shit, just like you share yours. And I'm going to also weave in my truth, because what I know for me, what happens is when I start shape shifting, so somebody will like me or think I'm something, then I'm not in alignment with spirit. Like that's not what spirit wants.
Well, in truth, when that happens, I have to realize that I'm in a relapse place, and that I'm going back into my woundedness. And that's not necessarily a bad thing on the spiral path. Sometimes we have to go backwards in order to go forwards. Whenever you tag a bow and arrow, you have to pull back in order to move forward. That causes the momentum, the dark and the light, the shadow and the light. Of course, that's part of the ship teachings, is that the shadow, when we are able to pierce it with our consciousness, with love, but also with boundaries, and seeing what needs to be dismantled, as you've said so elegantly many times here, to disarm those false protections. It's just really a little kid in the corner, afraid, saying, kicking and screaming and doing or whatever and hiding or whatever. Because when we can begin to dismantle those stories or storylines or whatever, then I don't even like to say higher self, because that always feels removed. But this greater love and wisdom comes in that's within us, but it also seems like it is directed from something bigger than us and holds us as we're holding ourselves. And in that, we realize that no matter what's going on, we can be forgiven and we can forgive. All those kind of things are made possible through a deep, felt, embodied spiritual awakening. And from there on, it's a daily practice. And some days we feel it and some days we don't. Some days we do a better job than other days. But even then, it's okay to just have a F day,
Yeah.
F day. And to really say, I needed that. I needed to have, not comb my hair, brush my teeth today, and just say, I don't care. And then because I know that I'm like a 3-year old and I really do care,
Yeah.
and to throw my tantrum and come out of it. So with all of this, now you've stepped into your, as you've come through SHIP and you came through and came a shamanic breathwork facilitator and, all these different mystery schools that you've internalized as part of your own medicine
Mhm.
as you're weaving together your medicine. You
Yeah.
know, you've heard me talk many times about the Wolf Clan and the grandmother Twyla niche and her wisdom, Jackie Small, Stan Groff, Ram Dass, Leonard Orr, all these breathwork masters from the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, that I've had the privilege really to be with those individuals. Their medicine's inside of me. So when I share that, it's automatically your medicine too. If you let it in and see what's right for you, it's automatically yours as well. That's the thing about lineages,
Hmm.
that each time that you're a lineage carrier, you're not just carrying, the breathwork lineage or the wolf lineage or the Four Agreements lineage or the shamanic breathwork lineage. It's like all of this, like family of origin stuff, all of this now is things that your healing adult spirit self
Hmm.
has chosen or has been called to try on. And then within that, and you use the word alchemy, that you've put it into your own cauldron and you're stirring it up. And within that, you're creating a way to add your own element into the brew, that's being passed on through you to the people that are hearing the call to be with you.
Hmm.
And that's the biggest satisfaction and greatest gift that any true teacher I know of can ever receive from anybody who's ever studied with them.
Hmm.
It's to watch that happen, not to become a clone. I used to say something to Grandmother Twyla, I'm not going to do this exactly the way you do it. And she said, well, no, there's only one Grandmother Twyla. I don't want to be would you
Yeah.
call it a clown? I said, no, a clone. She says, well, I'm not a clown or a clone. So you're not either. So
Yeah.
tell us about soul alchemy.
Yeah. So the quick cliff notes is always hard for me because I'm a storyteller like you. Can we have 3 hours? Um,
I wish.
when I read the Four Agreements, I had a spiritual awakening. It cracked me open and I was in the uppers and I wanted to stay there. And what happened is when I thought I could master the Four Agreements and couldn't, I started feeling the world and my humanity again. And so I was quickly brought down to reality and realized I had to actually do the work. I couldn't spiritually bypass. But I
Yes.
didn't have an in-person teacher. I had the books, I had the retreats, but I didn't have anybody walking me through it. And then I uh, read Heather Ashamara's book, The Toltec Path of Transformation. And in the first chapter, she said, I invite you to connect with the spirit guide. Close your eyes, a guide of air. It's a very beautiful story. Cliff notes is it was my grandma.
Mm.
The most powerful part of the story was that was the first time I had intentionally visioned since I was a child. And when I go within, it is like a movie on acid. I see so clearly, I am there. And I started going to my grandma for things. And then I realized Don Miguel and Toltec Path talks about our agreements as a book of law. The Four Agreements are powerful, but that's not where the healing and transformation, that's where it starts. It's unlearning. It's how do I unlearn my agreements? So I started doing all my unlearning within. I'd close my eyes, I'd go to the forest, I'd ask to see a belief in agreement. Where did it come from? Do I agree? I basically rewrote my book of law with my vision.
Mm.
Then I realized as I was doing this, I was like, I wonder if other people can do this. I mean, I have one of my gifts is I can see for other people, we know with their permission when we're like, in constellation spirit, we all agree. But I was like, I think everyone could do this. The mind, the ego is along for the ride. And my ego is having profound shifts of perception based on seeing me cord cut or say no to that. Like I was healing things really. I would be like, I don't feel that anymore. This is
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing donation-based sessions on my birthday, like 8 years ago. And I said, all the women that would come for me for sponsorship and counsel, because I've always been that, I said, I want to try something with you. And I started taking women on these journeys, and I'd lay them down. I'd talk to them for a little bit. I'd start seeing images and places, and I'd take them within and I'd guide them, very highly guided. Well, what do you think happened? They're connecting to their great within. They're having these huge experiences. So fast forward now 8 years later, that's my medicine is helping people use their vision to unlearn in the Toltec path. So that was the thing that I got to create from that. And all my insight timer meditations, I just put a brand new course teaching people. It's called Awakening the Heart Center, course in inner visioning. And I teach people how to use these highly guided visions to create an embodied relationship with their inner world that becomes so potent that it's in their outer, that their parts as archetypes and guides and their wolf and David Bowie as their higher self or whatever they need is in their realm. And I teach people to, walk between the worlds, bring your human and spiritual, no bypass. And also, where can you do your inner work and feel connected? And so that has been a part of me for a very, very long time. And that's been like the medicine I've been sharing. And then the breath work. I live up here, right? And there's always work to do. So it's great that I'm having all this, but my energy body and the embodiment of my body, that trauma in my body that is still there, right? Because it's like layers of the onion. You don't get to the core right away. There's more healing. There's always more. And to me, healing is not even the right word. It's like, because I feel like when people hear healing, they hear broken. It's like this divine unfolding of returning to your like life force. Before you had agreements and beliefs and had a name and all those things, you're just like a force of life that innately wanted to love and connect and create and play and also feel grief and sadness and fear. And like, how can we walk all of that staying connected? And the breath work dropped me deeper. Like the breath work and your teachings is what gave me what I needed to be an embodied teacher for someone else. Like that was the anchor.
That's really beautiful. And, really you're describing in some ways, well, you are. The journey you're talking about really is why SHIP was created. SHIP, as what you've been through and trained through, shamanic healing initiatory, process, really begins with the premise, first of all, that it's not a linear path, which you've just demonstrated, and it's not just a circular path where you keep doing the same thing, even if it's a good thing. That in order to grow, we have to break out of the circle. We have to come out of the womb. And so with that on the spiral path, we can call it healing. Healing is a popular word, and everybody wants to heal. But really, more of the healing, like deep kind of healing, is a little bit more in the foundational part if you're really doing healing, where more towards the beginning. And then it's maintenance.
Yeah.
Then it's ongoing. And then things happen in life. Somebody you love dies, or somebody hurts you or betrays you, or you have an accident, or whatever. So there's still plenty of time in your life, if you live a long life, to do more healing. But it's not so much that you're healing everything that happened before. It may come up again to just say, are we still in recovery around this? You go, yep, we sure are. Come in. I love you. You're welcome, Mr. Demon. Now, what do I need to do for you so you can move on your way? That sort of thing. But it's not like years. It's like an hour or a breath work or a conversation or a visualization, that sort of thing. Yeah. But with SHIP, you learn to step out of the constant circle chasing your tail, or just trying to be on the linear path and being good now that you've been saved, kind of energy from here on out, to just saying, I'm here to be a real human being with light and shadow, and to have recipes or formulas or medicine that will assist me to understand one day at a time where I am and what part of the medicine is needed. And just this year, because my mother passed, it brought a lot up for me. I have grieved more this year than I have in the last 11 years since my late husband passed.
Mhm.
This year has been the heaviest, most grieving energy for me this year. I wanted to move past it quickly. I want all kinds of things. With everything I know, I still wanted to get on with it. And finally, I just had to say the serenity prayer and come back again and say, okay, I understand that I want to spiritually bypass this. And yet there's deep healing here for me. If I bypass this, I will miss something wonderful that's wanting to happen for me. And of course, we just so happened to have been going to Egypt, and we did that, which is all the energy of the death and rebirth. And so I feel myself, I've been breathing, doing breath work a lot more this year than
Mhm.
I have in a while, just for myself,
Yeah.
because I've needed it. So
Mhm.
this is the message that I'm saying. I don't talk so much about myself, but it's that the sense that no matter who you are, who the teacher is, if they're not ongoing, uh, owning their own journey on the spiral path, and embracing their own humanity, then they're not going to have much humane energy
Mhm.
for themselves or others. We must, Marisa, one of my favorite all-time images many, many years ago when I was first studying shamanism was a picture in a book, and it was like a photo of a, um, a man, but then it showed him holding something that looked like a heart, you know? And underneath it, it says, the shaman is the one
Mhm.
whenever their heart gets too healed for too long, that they cut their chest open and take their heart out and put it back in to heal again.
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand that at that time. I thought that's gory, that's satanic. I didn't think it was satanic, but anyway,
Uh,
I understand now that
no.
in order to be here on this earth and to be of service, there's that we have to let in both the rain and the sunshine.
Yeah.
And so going through the processes and the initiations of looking back at family of origin, especially when your mother dies, passes,
Yeah.
looking at the shadows between my mom and I, the light and dark, and feeling like I didn't appreciate her as much as I should have, and all those should have been, should have done, all those kind of, and going through that, it's something I'm going to be unpacking for a while right now. And I go back to that energy now of the beloved, that my mother was tough. And because of that, I had to learn to love myself more.
Yeah.
And okay. And to understand that she was part of my beloved teacher,
Mhm.
teacher in that way,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And last but not least, because of her, a big part of the love and the woundedness and the healing we did together, all the way through her 94 years and my almost 73 years, because of that, I have this sacred purpose that was birthed really out of that,
Yeah.
ongoing. So it's ongoing, it's alive. Teachings are alive, they're not in concrete, they don't just stand stagnant, whether it's the 12 steps or the 10 commandments or the ship program. They have to be alive and meet people where they are.
Mhm.
So, what I'd like for you to share with us in the last bit of time that we have here is, where do you want to go with all
Mhm.
of this? Have you, I mean, are you so engrossed with it right now that you're just like, this is good. This is what, or, what do you, what's the limits for your sacred purpose or the unlimitedness? Where do you really want to go with all this? And, or anything else you want to share that's more
Yeah.
important to you than my question.
No, when you were talking, I was just thinking um, a lot of things. I, it's not a job, it's not a hobby, it's my life. Like I'm so committed to doing my own inner work, and I just happen to have the star sign and everything else that tells, like when I read it, it's like my sacred purpose is to take what I've learned and what I receive and share it. And
Shine.
that's like what I want to do and what I'm doing. And I've stepped into it even bigger because shamanic breath work helped me get moved from fear. And I mean, just you do the work, you learn, you heal. And I just happen to be somebody who wants to share and then go back in and do some more. So I have more to share. And I don't have to go as deep anymore, but I'm really growing a beautiful community on Insight Timer. And I think I'm just about to hit 200,000 downloads. And I have 7,000, countless followers, but people that are engaging with me. This course was a big deal because I've never been able to share my medicine in a linear way. That's hard for me. And the course has been beautiful. And I have a deck that I'm working on, and the Healing Our Relationships podcast is doing really, really well. That's surprising me. And I want to be traveling and providing and creating experiences for people to heal themselves. Shamanic breathwork. I want to, be sharing that lineage, really, just as Star Wolf teaches it. Really, I'm very much, I don't want to, I just honor the lineages. I want to integrate my own experience, but this is what I'm here for. And I'm here to be of service to the planet. And I have tons of free things, tons of donation based things. And then I have other offerings that require time and investment, in the same way that I've spent a decade investing in this knowledge and this wisdom and sharing it. And so I'm in a big place of believing in myself and taking some, I don't even want to say it's risk. It's more that I'm trusting spirit will have me, and I'm, all in, and I have so much, so much for you. So there's so many things for you to do with me, I always say. And that's what soul alchemy healing is. It's like this big container where no matter where you are on the spiral path, no matter how much money you have or you don't have, there's something for you. And I've spent 10 years building that. And I'm really, really proud of it, that I have a meditation app totally free with 40 journeys. And the only courses is one of our talks, and you can download it and you can journey, and be with yourself. So
I love that. I love the way that you parceled that out for things that, that people can reach out and get started if they're not sure, or, or they don't have that much money to invest. They want to make sure that it's something that really resonates for them. I really love that. And your ability to navigate that world. It's one I'm needing to learn more about, or want to. Actually, I don't want to learn any more about it. I want somebody else to learn about it and do it for me at this point in my life. That's okay.
yeah.
That's okay. I think I've come to that place like, no, I don't think I really want to learn that. I just want to provide the material. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's wonderful. Congratulations on that. And it really speaks, with having that many downloads and having that many people, tuning into your vibration. It says to me that you are in the right time at the right, with the right medicine for this world. You know, I really, I feel like a big part of my era was about addiction, especially in the 60s and the 70s. And, I know you have that recovery too. But codependency wasn't even a word, at that time. I remember I was working in the field of addictions, and it wasn't a word. And so when codependency came in, and adult children of alcoholics, that wasn't a word. When all that came in, and I'm working at the mental health center, they tell me I have to learn all this, and I start learning it, and I'm sober, of course. And then I'm like, oh no, no, not something else that I have. And I thought, well, how can I teach this to people that are coming in to see me when I'm not doing this? So I started some of the first adult children of alcoholics groups and meetings that were ever started. It was in that first round in Florida when I was living there at the mental health center. And and the codependency groups came after that. So I'm just interested. I'm like, don't bring me anything else to create or find out about myself, or not too much anyway. But seriously, I know that I believe until the last moment that we're here.
Yeah.
I've shared many times that Brad was still doing soul retrieval. When I did a soul retrieval for him the day before he died, before he passed, my late husband, that we always have plenty to heal. The world is a light and dark planet, but we don't have to be stuck in with the accelerated down on the pedal of trauma and anxiety about needing to heal all the time. The world will provide you plenty of opportunities when you know that it's time to take another deep dive on the spiral path. There's no like, oh, here I am now. It can be just as strong as it was in the beginning if it's a big initiation.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to come towards us. The point is that we have the shamanic recovery and tools that no matter what comes our way, and we have our friends and colleagues and mentors and guides that we know, and our great spirit, our own personal connection that you've talked about so beautifully today, that will carry us when we can't carry ourselves.
Yeah.
You're a beautiful example of that, Marisa. I
Thank
really love you. I'm proud of you, but I really love you, and I've learned a lot from you today. Is there any, we've got a couple of minutes, is there anything you would want to, you just said everything, but is there anything else that you want to say that you feel that you haven't said today?
I think I just want to say that in all of the hard work that we talked about today, on the other side is this balance of what you call love and magic and what I call magic. And that's creating spaces where the beauty and the love and the joy and the fun is a part of it. And it's not this big shadowy, dark experience healing. Like,
Yes.
do it in the way we do it. It is empowering, it's exciting, it lights you up. It's a way of life. It's not just something you do. And there's more people being drawn to that, and that makes me really happy. So I also just want to say that, like, there's a lot of fun in this, a lot of fun.
It is. It begins to be an adventure. It begins to be fun. All those kind of things, just like walking on fire or being in a sweat lodge or doing breath work. It no longer feels like a chore or something you have to be afraid of, or, oh, I've got to do this inner work. It becomes like, oh, I think I need to breathe now, or that would be good. It's like getting hungry. I need to eat, or I need to sleep, or, and it's pleasurable. You like to eat, you like to sleep, you like to do the inner work, not so much from having to, but because it's a joy to do it.
Yeah.
When it's an opportunity for more growth and to celebrate. And that's just what you spoke about. I want to say that celebration, the air element, to celebrate and to say, okay, thank you, great mystery. Gratitude, 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 and gratitude to myself for being willing to do this. And not only that, gratitude to all the people who are vibing to this right now.
Yeah.
We're in a very transformational time, Marisa, and an exciting time. And I'm happy that we're on this journey together. I look forward to seeing you in person someday very soon.
Yes.
Perhaps in Portugal.
Yeah, I'm already like trying to get on that train, offering to pack.
We will be talking. My people talk to you people. From there to here to there. Thank you for this beautiful interview today. And what's your website?
www.healwithalchemy.com, and I have
Heal with the alchemy.
healwithalchemy.com.
.com.
Yeah.
Any other websites or anything that
you can find me and follow me on Insight Timer. And the other plug I would give is May next year, I'm taking a big group of women to Teo to bridge shamanic breathwork and the Toltec medicine.
Beautiful.
And in January, I have an apprenticeship around soul's purpose, sacred purpose, and stepping into that. And that starts in January, and I have 2 spots left. So I have some.
And can people find that on your website?
Yep, they can find everything on my website.
Okay, so go check her website out and send her a message. I'm sure she'll be back with you. And thank you again so much. And
You're welcome.
take care, and just love you so much.
Love you too. Thank
you.
Keep
doing the work and keep celebrating.
I will. You too.
And keep howling. Oh! This is Star Wolf, and you've been listening to the Experiential Aquarian Shaman broadcast. Transform yourself, transform the world. Join me every second and fourth Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio to awaken your inner Aquarian shaman. Never miss an episode. Subscribe to my channel and connect with me on social media at Linda Star Wolf. For more information about my offerings and trainings, visit shamanicbreathwork.org. Thank you for taking this special time to journey with me.